The iron shackles have rubbed Sarah's wrists raw. Standing on the auction platform in the mountain marketplace, she keeps her eyes down, watching shadows shift as buyers circle. Next lot, the auctioneer bellows. Female, 24 years, literate, trained healer. He jerks her chin up. Decent teeth, bit thin, but she'll do. Sarah's cheeks burn, but she doesn't resist. Her pack fell to raiders 8 months ago. The strong died. The weak were sold. Starting bid, 50 silver. Silence. She's too thin, too plain, too broken. 30 silver? The auctioneer's confidence falters. A few men step closer, examining her like livestock. Their eyes are cold, calculating. Kitchen slave, field hand, disposable. She knows herbs, the auctioneer tries desperately. Can set bones, birthing work. Scattered laughter follows. Who needs a healer when you've got claws? Someone shouts. 20 silver, comes a gravelly voice. Sarah's blood freezes. The man who steps forward has yellowed teeth and cruel hands. His eyes promise back-breaking labor and beatings. 15, he haggles. She's half dead already. The auctioneer's face falls. Sir, surely. 15, or I walk. Then the air changes. Power rolls across the marketplace like thunder, raw and overwhelming. Conversations die. Children fall silent. The sovereign, someone whispers. The Wolf King. Against every survival instinct, Sarah glances up. The crowd parts as a figure moves through them with predatory grace, tall, dark-haired, with a face carved from stone and eyes like molten gold. 100 gold. The words slice through the silence like a blade. Sarah's wolf whimpers in submission. The Wolf King, conqueror of the northern ranges, who built an empire on his enemies' bones. What could he want with her? My lord, the auctioneer stammers. Are you certain? You doubt me? The voice is winter cold. The cruel man practically runs from the marketplace. The king steps onto the platform. Up close, Sarah can feel the power radiating from him. Not just strength, but something primal and absolute. You're a healer. Not a question. Yes, my lord, she whispers. Trained by the Riverwood Pack's elders. Hope flutters in her chest. Maybe he values her skills. Good. He turns away. Rowan, take her to the fortress. Feed her. Clean her up. He strides away without looking back. Wait. Sarah starts forward. A massive warrior's hand clamps her shoulder. Rule 1, he says quietly. You don't speak to the king unless addressed. Rule 2, never meet his eyes. Your property now. The words hit like a blow, but she nods. At least she's alive. Chapter 1. The journey to the king's territory is brutal. 3 days of rocky mountain paths that leave Sarah's feet bleeding. The warriors move with fluid grace while she struggles to keep up. Useless Omega, one mutters. King wasted his gold. Maybe she's not meant for shifting, Rowan says gruffly. Healers got other. Uses. Like what? Healings for weaklings. Real wolves heal themselves or die. On the 3rd day, Sarah collapses. The world tilts sideways, darkness creeping in. Leave her, someone suggests. We've wasted enough time. Then gentle arms lift her. The scent hits first, pine and steel and something wild that makes her wolf stir. Her eyes snap open. The king carries her like she weighs nothing, his expression unreadable as he navigates the treacherous path. His warriors fall silent behind them. Through half-closed eyes, she sees their destination, a fortress carved into the mountainside itself, all black stone and sharp angles. He sets her down gently in the courtyard, gesturing to a stern-faced woman. But before the woman can lead her away, a voice cuts through the air. Welcome back, nephew. A tall warrior approaches, so similar to the king they could be brothers, but older with cruelty etched into his features. Is this the healer you purchased? His tone makes it clear what he thinks. It is, Uncle Thorn. the king replies. Thorn's lip curls. And you carried her where everyone could see. The servant tugs urgently at Sarah's arm, pulling her away as the two men's voices drop to tense whispers. That was Thorn, the servant hisses. The Pax Beta and the king's uncle. Pray, he forgets you exist. Chapter 2. 3 weeks pass. Sarah learns the fortress's harsh rhythms. Dawn brings clashing weapons. Midday brings scurrying servants. Evening brings exhausted fighters nursing wounds. But no one asks for healing. She scrubs floors and tends fires, grateful for steady meals and a warm bed. When she sees a young warrior with a dislocated shoulder, she approaches to help. Get away from me, he snarls. I don't need your Omega weakness. But I could help? He spits the word. Real wolves heal themselves or die trying. A senior fighter pushes through the gathering crowd. You were bought as a servant, not a healer. Remember your place. The pattern repeats daily. A kitchen maid with a burn. A guard with a festering cut. Each offer of help earns her scorn. If the king bought her as a servant, why ask about her healing at all? Her chance to ask comes one evening as she's cleaning the great hall. The king strides through with advisors, his voice carrying cold authority mixed with weariness. My lord, she calls softly, stepping forward. The conversation stops dead. Advisors stare in shock. The king's golden eyes flick to her briefly, then away as if she's beneath notice. My lord, I wanted to ask, how dare you? An advisor steps forward. A servant does not address the king directly. But I'm a healer, Sarah protests desperately. He bought me as, you are nothing. You speak when spoken to. Rowan appears, his hand bruising her shoulder. My apologies, Sovereign. The Omega forgets herself. See that it doesn't happen again, the king says coldly, continuing as if she never existed. The next morning, everything changes. Sarah's sweeping the training courtyard when she hears bone break wrong. A boy, maybe 11, crashes to the ground during combat drills, his leg twisted unnaturally. Warriors watch with cold indifference. Pain builds character. Thorn strides over, grabbing the boy's broken arm and twisting until another bone cracks. Pathetic, he sneers. This is what weakness looks like. The boy's scream echoes off stone walls. Something in Sarah snaps. She runs without thinking, dropping beside the child. Her hands glow with healing energy, warmth flowing into his broken body. Bones knit. Torn muscle weaves together. His leg straightens. When she finishes, he stares at her with wonder, as if kindness is a forgotten language. What is this? Thorn's voice cuts like a blade. Sarah looks up to find him looming over her, face twisted with rage. Behind him, the king approaches with measured steps. Your Omega pet defies our ways, Thorn spits. She healed the weakness we were burning out. She must be punished. The king stops beside them, golden eyes studying the scene. The healed boy sits easily while Sarah kneels, hands still glowing. Any other Omega would cower now, but Sarah lifts her chin and meets the king's gaze directly, silently daring him to punish her for mercy. His nostrils flare as he reads her defiance. The boy is more useful healed, he says simply. He can return to training sooner. Thorn's fist slams against the wall. Nephew, you can't... Enough. The king's voice carries full alpha power, making every warrior flinch. Do not question me again! As guards escort Sarah away, she feels Thorn's hatred burning into her back. But it's the king's expression that haunts her. That brief moment when his mask slipped, showing something that might have been gratitude. Chapter 3. Days pass, but no one seeks her healing. The culture of suffering runs too deep to change overnight. Then comes the knock on her door. A guard stands in the hallway, expression blank. You're to come with me. Where? The Sovereign wants a word. Her heart hammers. The guard leads her through corridors she's never seen, climbing toward the royal chambers. He knocks on massive oak doors. Enter. The chamber inside takes her breath away. Rich tapestries, crackling fire, warmth and comfort unlike the rest of the fortress. And there, silhouetted against firelight, stands the king. He's shed his formal attire for simple, dark clothing that makes him look more dangerous, not less. Flames cast dancing shadows across his sharp features. His golden eyes meet hers briefly before she drops her gaze. You may leave us, he tells the guard. The doors close. They're alone. Silence stretches until she can't bear it. You wanted to see me, my lord? About what happened in the courtyard. He moves closer. You healed him well. The boy will fight again tomorrow. Thank you, my lord. I only wanted to help. But this is not our way. His tone hardens. Here we earn strength through pain. You dishonored him by taking away that chance. The words hit like a blow. My lord, I don't understand. You defended my actions. I defended the practical outcome. A healed warrior returns to duty faster. He's close enough now that she can feel his heat, catch his scent. But that doesn't mean I approve of the method. She looks up at him, confusion warring with instinct. Something in his voice doesn't match his words. I understand it's not your way, my lord, she says carefully, but surely there's no need for unnecessary suffering. His jaw tightens. For a moment, something raw flickers across his features. When I was young, my pack was slaughtered. The words fall like stones. We were too open, too trusting. We believed in mercy, in helping others. His golden eyes burn into hers. It made us soft. When the attack came, we fell like wheat. Her breath catches. She sees it now, a young boy watching his world burn. My uncle saved me, he continues, voice hardening. We swore we'd never make the same mistake. We would be strong always. Show no weakness. He steps closer, presence overwhelming. Is this understood? Yes, my lord, she whispers, heart breaking for him. He studies her face, and she sees something shift in his expression. Regret, perhaps. We'll use your abilities only in true emergencies, he says finally, when a warrior's life hangs in the balance. Hope flares bright. Thank you, my lord. She turns toward the door, mind racing. Sarah? Her name in his voice stops her cold. She turns back, suddenly flustered, too aware of the intimacy. Alone in his chambers, firelight dancing between them. Yes, my lord? You should avoid my uncle. Thorn doesn't share my practical view. Stay out of his way. Yes, my lord. I understand. She flees before she can say something foolish. In the days that follow, Sarah tries to honor his wishes. When she sees injuries that could be easily healed, she looks away. Then comes the morning when a young she-wolf crashes during aerial drills, her leg twisted wrong with bone jutting through skin. Blood pools beneath her. This is an emergency. Sarah doesn't hesitate. Her hands glow as she drops beside the injured wolf, pouring healing energy into the catastrophic wound. Bone straightens, muscle knits, skin seals without a scar. How dare you! Thorn's voice cracks across the training ground. He stalks toward her, pale eyes bright with rage. This Omega defies our ways again. But Sarah catches sight of the king, watching from the balcony above. Their eyes meet for just a moment. She sees approval, satisfaction, and underneath it all, a warmth that has nothing to do with practicality and everything to do with pride. He's happy. Despite everything he said, despite his uncle's fury, he's proud of what she's done. The realization hits like lightning. The conflict isn't just between her healing and their culture. It's between what the king was taught to believe and what he actually feels. And maybe she's not the only one beginning to change. Chapter 4. A week later, Sarah wakes to thunder of boots on stone. She joins servants lining the battlements to watch the king's forces assemble below. What's happening? Haven't you heard? The king leaves for battle today. Hundreds of warriors fill the courtyard. At their head sits the king on his black destrier, dark armor fitted perfectly to his powerful frame. Sarah watches until the last warrior vanishes, her heart heavy with unnamed emotion. With the king's presence absent, something unexpected begins. A kitchen maid approaches hesitantly, cradling a burned hand. "Please," she whispers. "It hurts so much." Sarah heals the burn without hesitation. Word spreads quietly. Soon others seek her out. A stable boy, a seamstress, a guard. Each healing is small, but the change it brings is profound. Servants begin to smile. Laughter drifts through corridors. Children play in courtyards. Even warriors soften their harsh discipline. Where once there was only clashing weapons and shouted orders, now there's music, quiet conversations, joy. Sarah moves through it all with growing confidence. She's needed here. For the first time since the auction, she feels truly alive. But always, she wonders what he'll think when he returns. The answer comes 3 weeks later in the middle of the night. Sarah jolts awake to horns blowing. Not triumph, but desperate emergency. She races outside. Through the gates come 3 riders, wolves lathered with sweat and foam. The king leads them, armor dented and bloodied, golden eyes wild. "Where is she?" he roars. "Where is the healer?" "Here." Sarah pushes through the crowd. "I'm here, my lord." Relief floods his features. Up close, she sees exhaustion etched into his face, the way his hands shake. My uncle. He's dying. Silver weapons, poisoned blades. He won't survive the journey back. "How far?" 2 hours. You can ride with me." She nods, then hesitates. "My lord, I can shift too. I'm fast." Surprise flickers across his features. "Then let's go." His shift is magnificent. Bones crack and reshape, and where the man stood, a massive black wolf now crouches. Sarah's shift comes harder, but desperation lends strength. A smaller silver wolf stands beside his black form. The run is brutal. The king sets a punishing pace. Sarah pushes herself harder than ever, lungs burning, legs screaming. But she keeps up. They find Thorn in a makeshift camp, his breathing so shallow it's barely visible. Sarah shifts back, not caring about nakedness. The king follows, immediately draping his cloak around her shoulders, before leading her to his uncle. "I don't know if I can save him," she whispers, hands beginning to glow. "Try," he says simply, settling beside her. The healing takes hours. Sarah pours everything into the broken body, fighting silver poison drop by drop. The king stays beside her through it all, his presence a steady anchor. When she finally collapses, Thorn's breathing has steadied, his skin returning to healthy color. "You did it," the king whispers, voice rough with emotion. His hand finds hers, squeezing gently. "You saved him." For a moment, they simply sit there in pre-dawn darkness, both trembling with relief and exhaustion. Then Thorn's eyes flutter open. The beta takes in the scene with growing horror. His healed body, Sarah's glowing hands, the king's protective proximity. "What have you done?" he snarls. "What have you done to me?" "She saved your life," the king replies carefully. "You were dying, uncle." "You should have let me die," Thorn's voice cracks. "My death would have motivated our troops. Instead, you've made us weak with this Omega's tainted healing." The king's face goes very still. "You're saying I should have let you die for our soldiers' anger?" "Yes, that's what strength looks like." The king is quiet for a long moment. "I see," he says finally. "Perhaps you're right. Perhaps I've grown too soft." He glances at Sarah with something like apology. "Return to the fortress, healer. We'll speak later." "My lord." "Go," he says gently. "I need to speak with my uncle privately." As she gathers her cloak and prepares to shift, she catches Thorn watching her. His pale eyes burn with such hatred she steps backward involuntarily. This isn't over. Chapter 5. The fortress feels different after the king's return. The lightness grown in his absence slowly dims, replaced by watchful eyes and whispered warnings. Thorn stalks corridors like a restless predator. Still, people come to Sarah. More carefully now, glancing over shoulders. But they come. It's been 3 weeks since she saved Thorn's life, and the king hasn't spoken to her once. She catches glimpses of him, crossing courtyards, reviewing reports, training with warriors. But his golden eyes never seek her out, never acknowledge her presence. But she remembers that desperate ride through the forest, the hours he sat vigil, his hand in hers, strong and warm. Most of all, she remembers when he draped his cloak around her naked shoulders, movements careful and respectful. She's crushing on him. The realization hits one evening as she watches him from across the great hall, and her heart does something complicated. This is dangerous. She's a servant, a slave, bought and owned. But her heart doesn't care. The knock comes long after the fortress settles into sleep. Sarah opens her door to find Thorn standing there, pale eyes gleaming. "The king wants to see you," he says without preamble. Her heart leaps, then falls. Something feels wrong. "Now, my lord? It's quite late." "Now," he says firmly. "Follow me." They descend stone steps that grow damper and colder. The dungeons. They emerge into a circular chamber lined with empty cells. Guards wait in shadows, faces hidden behind helms. But there's no prisoner, no injured person, and no king. "My lord," Sarah says slowly, "where is the sovereign?" His smile is sharp as a blade. "He's not coming." Fear crawls up her spine. The guards shift closer, hands moving to weapons. "You're going to disappear tonight," Thorn continues conversationally. "A tragic accident. Or maybe you'll simply desert. These things happen with slaves. Please," she whispers, backing against stone. "I've done nothing wrong." "Help?" His voice cracks like a whip. "You call this corruption help? You've made them weak, dependent, soft. You're poison, girl." She sees madness in his eyes, fanatical certainty that brooks no argument. "My lord, I only seek to heal." "And that's exactly why you must die." He lunges forward, hands reaching for her throat. Sarah screams. Then the chamber explodes into chaos. The king tears through the entrance like an avenging angel, golden eyes blazing with fury. His roar shakes dust from the ceiling as he takes in the scene. "Let her go," he snarls, voice carrying full alpha power. Thorn releases her, but shows no remorse. "She's poison, nephew. She'll destroy us all." "I told you," the king says, dangerously quiet. "She stays." "And I told you that's impossible." Thorn's composure cracks. "Look what she's done to you. Look how weak you've become. You're the Wolf King, not some lovesick fool mooning over an Omega." The words hang like a death sentence. Sarah's cheeks burn with shame and something else. Hope, maybe, or terror at having her feelings exposed. "You've lost sight of reason," the king says quietly. "This has gone too far." "Too far!" Thorn laughs bitterly. "I raised you from nothing. I saved you when your parents' weakness would have gotten you killed. I made you king, and this is how you repay me?" His hand moves to his belt, drawing a wicked-looking dagger. Its blade gleams with oily poison. "If you won't be the king I made you," Thorn says sadly, "then perhaps it's time for new leadership." He strikes without warning, blade aimed at the king's heart. But the king is faster, catching his wrist and twisting until the dagger clatters down. What follows is terrible. Uncle and nephew, teacher and student locked in deadly combat. They're evenly matched in skill, but the king has youth and strength. Then the guards join the fight. "For the true Alpha!" one shouts. They're outnumbered 5-1. The king fights like a man possessed, but there are too many. A sword finds its mark, then another. He staggers, but doesn't fall. Then Sarah sees Thorn rising behind him, poisoned dagger gleaming. "Look out!" she screams. Too late. The blade slides between the king's ribs with surgical precision. His eyes go wide with shock and pain. But instead of falling, something terrible awakens in his golden gaze. "I'm sorry," Thorn whispers, voice breaking. "I'm sorry it had to end this way." The king looks up at him. For a moment, nephew and uncle stare at each other. Then the king's claws extend with a sound like steel on stone. "So am I," he whispers. His hand punches through Thorn's chest in one fluid motion, claws piercing heart and lung. Thorn's eyes dim. He topples backward, hitting stone with a final thud. The king sways, then collapses forward into Sarah's waiting arms. The poison works quickly. Already his skin is taking on gray pallor, breathing becoming shallow. "No," she whispers, hands beginning to glow. "No, I won't let you die." But even as she pours power into him, she knows it may not be enough. Chapter 6. They carry the king to his chambers. Sarah never lets go of his hand, healing energy flowing into him even as they climb winding stairs. By the time they reach his chambers, word has spread. Thorn is dead. The king is dying. But Sarah only has eyes for the man laid on the bed before her. She kneels beside him, hands pressed against his chest, pouring every ounce of energy into his failing body. The silver poison fights her at every turn. Hours pass. Servants bring food she doesn't touch. Rowan stands guard, scarred face grim. But Sarah never stops fighting. She loves him. Not the Wolf King with his cold authority, but the man underneath. The one who carried her up a mountain, who sat vigil beside her. She loves his strength and his gentleness. The way he looks at her like she matters. And she's going to lose him. "Please," she whispers, tears streaming. "Please don't leave me." His breathing hitches, grows shallower. His lips move without sound, forming her name over and over. "I'm here," she whispers, leaning closer. "I'm here." His hand twitches toward hers. She catches it, squeezes gently and pours everything she has left into him. Her own life force mingles with healing light. A desperate gamble. The poison finally breaks. Her healing floods through him, washing away silver corruption. His skin clears. His breathing deepens. Color returns. Sarah collapses beside him, utterly spent. But he's alive. Dawn breaks through tall windows when his eyes finally open. For a moment he stares at the ceiling in confusion. Then his gaze finds hers. "Sarah," he breathes, voice strong and clear. "I'm sorry," she says immediately. "This is all my fault. If I had just... Stop!" His hand finds hers. "Don't you dare blame yourself for his choices." "But my lord, I brought discord." "You brought healing," he says, struggling to sit up. "My uncle is dead because he chose hatred over hope." His thumb brushes across her knuckles. "I've been watching these past weeks. I've seen what you've done. The servants smile now. The children laugh." He pauses, golden eyes searching her face. "You were right about needless suffering. It isn't strength. It's just cruelty disguised as tradition." "You're not afraid," Sarah whispers. "I was terrified," he admits. "Terrified of being weak, of making mistakes that got my parents killed. But suffering for its own sake isn't strength. It's just suffering. Real strength is choosing to heal instead of hurt." His hand comes up to cup her cheek. "My lord," she whispers, flustered. "Kieran," he corrects gently. "My name is Kieran." The intimacy makes her breath catch. "Thank you," he whispers, "for saving me, for saving all of us." He pulls her closer, arms wrapping around her with infinite care. Sarah, my fierce little healer, my heart. When his lips touch hers, the kiss is soft, reverent, as if she might shatter. But when she melts into him, hands sliding up to tangle in his dark hair, he deepens it with quiet desperation that speaks of nearly losing everything. Epilogue. Spring comes to the fortress, and with it, transformation. Where once there were only training grounds, gardens now bloom with healing herbs. The clash of weapons still rings through courtyards, but now it's accompanied by laughter and encouragement. Warriors who once trained to dominate, now learn to protect. True strength lies in defending others. Kieran moves through his pack like a changed wolf. His power hasn't diminished. It's grown stronger. But now it's tempered with wisdom. Where once he ruled through fear, he leads through respect. The fortress itself seems to breathe easier. Music drifts from the great hall. Pups play in corridors. Even the stone walls appear warmer. On the night of the full moon, when the pack gathers in the courtyard, Kieran takes Sarah's hand before them all. "You were brought here as a servant," he says, deep voice carrying to every ear. "But you freed us all. You taught us that true strength isn't about how many we can defeat, but how many we can protect. You didn't just heal our wounds, you healed our hearts." Under silver moonlight, he marks her as his mate. His gentle bite, a promise of eternal love. Their wolves twine together, black and white, strength and mercy. Two halves finally united. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story. Just leave a comment below with your favorite quote from today's story, if you liked this one story. Good luck.